feel like Canada is now entering a renter's economy. I'm a realtor here in Ontario, and I do a lot of rentals. I mostly actually do rentals more than sales. And I'm finding almost everybody that reaches out to me, they do not know what documents they need for renting, which is interesting. I don't blame them because what happened prior to COVID, you could probably go see a place, 123 Main Street, you like it, you put an offer on, and you get it accepted. It was super easy, super easy. You don't even have to send them documents, right? So nowadays, landlords are so picky, right? Like they want to rent to this specific, they're very picky. They have a lot more options. And also with what's been going on with the tenant board, they're also a lot more scared to rent out their place. So they do their due diligence. They want everything. Right now, renting a house is actually harder than buying a house. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy. Hopefully it gets better, right? But anyways, that's just how the market is currently in 2025. So what I want to do is make this video and explain the documents that you need and why you need them for each type of person that you may be. So the first one would be the majority of people, you're either hourly or salary. If you're hourly or salary, you're gonna need your photo ID. So that's a passport, driver's license. You could do health card as well. Then you want to go to your employer and ask them for a job letter. So there's a difference between a job letter and an offer letter. Job letter normally is one page. It has the letterhead, to whom this may concern. Brandon works at this company, makes this amount of money, and has been working there since this time. That's pretty much what landlords would be looking for. An offer letter is normally a longer document that explains your duties. Landlords don't even accept that, right? The reason why they're so picky is because a lot of tenant documents are fraudulent, actually more than half. So, which is crazy number to think about. So we want to make sure that we have everything ready. So when you're actually trying to find a place, you're going to stand out and you're going to have a higher probability of getting the property that you want. So you need a job letter, not an offer letter. Those are the two difference. Two recent pay stubs. We don't want pay stubs from 6, 7 months ago. You need two recent pay stubs because you're just showing that you are currently working, that you've been making money. And then your credit report. For credit report, landlords do not like TransUnion, they don't like Borrowell, they don't like Credit Karma, anything from a bank. They don't like any screenshots. The only ones that they're pretty much accepting nowadays is Equifax. Equifax is extremely reliable. I think it's the #1 credit bureau in Canada, so that's probably why. But yeah, so we need photo ID, proof of income, credit report, and then a rental application. If you're working with an agent, you should see the ORIA form, rental application, or if you're going with property management, they may have their own. Same thing if you're going private, they may actually have their own. So just make sure you know what you're reading and ask whoever's giving it to you to maybe explain certain things if you need to. So that's really important. That's pretty much it for most of the people. If you're self-employed, it's going to be photo ID, 3 months of bank statements you'll have to provide to show consistent cash flow. Sometimes even they ask for 6 months, just because self-employed is not stability. You're not guaranteed the income in a landlord's eyes. So they need to feel as secure as possible. So 3 to 6 months of bank statements, an Equifax credit report, and then the rental application again. It repeats itself, as you can tell. If you're a student, normally students will have their parents co-sign the lease. So co-signers will go back to either photo ID, proof of income, credit report. The student itself, they can provide a letter of enrollment. They can provide any type of proof that they've been paying their school. That also helps. You can also do any proof of savings for each category that you fall under. Those are really good, and those will increase your likelihood of getting accepted. The next one would be a government program. If you're on a government program, you're going to want to talk to your caseworker and get them to write some sort of letter that says that this will be paying the rent. So it's kind of like a job letter, but it goes from the caseworker and it's written on behalf of the institution. So example, ODSB, they may say that they're going to send the rent directly to the landlord upon receiving a lease. That's important. That is basically a job letter. And for a landlord's eyes, that is guaranteed rent. So you want to make sure you have that if you're on ODSB. You don't want to just say that you're on ODSB. You need some sort of proof that you're on that. I'm saying that because I come across a lot of people that are on BSB and they have no idea what they need to gather, just like every other category. So yeah, we want to make sure you have that ready to go. A lot of people also ask how you can make your offer stronger. There's really only 3 ways you can make your offer for the property that you're looking at stronger. One would be paying more months up front. So you have to do your first and last after acceptance. It's not like the States where you do first and then on key exchange you do last. You need your first and last right after you get accepted. A lot of people do not know that, and they may get into a lease agreement and then they don't have their last, they only have the first, and then the landlord can just cancel the agreement and go rent to somebody else because you're not ready, you're not prepared. So make sure you have your first and last ready. If you want to incentivize your offer and make it stronger, you can do like first and last and extra, like security, or pay more months. That goes for your rent. So if you do like first and last 3, then you don't pay your last 3 months of rent. That's an example. You don't have to do that much, but that is a way to make your offer stronger. Another thing is you can get a cosigner. Normally cosigners, they have to be Canadian. They have to make, in 2025, what landlords are looking for is about 80, 90K salary. They don't want to do hourly unless if it's higher, like 40 or $50 an hour, because they have to factor in the cosigner's expenses as well as this house that they are cosigning the lease for. You can't have a cosigner on a $4,000 house and they're making, like, let's just say $22 an hour. That wouldn't work because they have to factor in their own expense plus that. So if all the people in the $4,000 unit, they can't afford the rent, the person on the $20 an hour hourly wage, they're not going to be able to afford the rent either. So they have to factor that in. And then ideally a cosigner has good credit. Just because you have a high credit doesn't mean you have good credit. I find that's a very common misconception. You can have high credit and have a lot of debt. And you can have a low credit and not have a lot of debt. I've seen people with like 650 credit and they only have $500 in debt. That to me is that's not bad at all. $500 in debt is nothing. That's nothing. But you can also have 740 credit and you can have like $20,000 in debt. Now that is like, as a landlord, that is also a red flag. We're trying to think of it from the landlord's perspective. Like they don't want to rent to somebody that has a lot of debt because it's more of a risk. It's the same thing when you apply for a mortgage. The exact same thing. It's just a landlord or lender. The landlord will want to look at your debt and see if it's worth the risk of their investment to accept you as their tenant, right? And we want to reduce that risk as much as possible. So that's why having a cosigner can incentivize the offer. Paying more months up front can incentivize the offer. Paying more than asking, like $50, $100 over asking, can incentivize the offer because they're getting more monthly rent. And those are the three ways really that are the most common ways that you can just incentivize the offer, or give them even another way is like giving them a quicker closing. So if the property is vacant and you're looking for December 1st and right now we're in October 1st, maybe you could do like a November 15th or November 1st. So they're going to get rent faster. That is another way that you can also incentivize the offer. And you can mix all of these together as well to increase your chances of getting accepted. I know that was probably really overwhelming. I wanted to just make a quick video and just explain the tenant documents and just get it out there because I'm finding so many people do not know what they need to rent. But yeah, you need your Equifax credit report, full PDF file, not just a screenshot of that. It'll get rejected. I don't understand it. It wasn't like this before COVID. Like after COVID and after the landlord tenant board got really backed up. When you have problems with your landlord, you got to go to the landlord tenant board. So pretty much to summarize it, everybody that's renting the place and that is paying the rent needs to provide photo ID, proof of income, and Equifax credit report. If you can have that from everybody, that would make your chances of getting accepted a lot faster. So now there's also like bonus things that you could add if you feel comfortable, right? Like you don't have to. What I talked about right now was like what's mandatory, like what you need. If I'm trying to help them rent out a place and I don't have those documents, I almost can never get them a place. Like we're just gambling. It's not even worth it. I'm just wasting their time and my time. But so other things that you can also add to your, I call it your profile, like you're building your profile. Other things that you can add is like proof of savings. If you have like a significant amount of savings, you can show that, right? And a landlord is not going to tell you just because you have $30,000 in the bank, they're going to say, "Oh, I need you to pay 6 months up front." That's just, in my opinion, that's just an asshole landlord, and I don't think a lot of landlords will do that. It's just to show that you have some sort of financial responsibility, right? They're not going to try to take your savings from you. That is your savings. It's just to show that, listen, I've reached this goal in savings, which a lot of people haven't. This is what I have, even if it's $10,000, whatever it is. That's a way that you can also increase your likelihood of getting accepted. The reason why I say that is because I've had people send me bank statements from self-employed and their checking balance is actually low. And when I'm sending the profile in for it, the landlord, they come back and they're saying, no, well, they don't have enough income. Like, well, no, they make enough income. Look what's going into their account. Yeah, but it's all going out. And then I'm looking at, I'm like, they're not wrong. And then I talk to my client and then my client's saying, well, no, I actually just, I have my checking balance low always. I have a savings account. Here's the savings, or here's the other accounts that the money's getting distributed to. And then when I sent it back to the landlord, like, oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, no, we'll consider that. And then got them accepted. So I know that this is also a way that if you're going to do bank statements, you got to show like something else unless you are running a higher balance. That's what I find. That's what I find in my personal experience. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to rant too long and make this video. It's probably already super long. It's my first one, a little nervous, but I wanted to make a video just explaining the documents that is needed for renting because I know it can be really overwhelming, especially if you're renting with 4 or 5 people and everybody's paying the rent and you don't know what you need. Just to summarize it and keep it really simple, you just need a picture of your photo ID. You just need a job letter or bank statements and 2 to 3 recent pay stubs if you're on hourly or salary. If you have a cosigner that you can use, make sure they provide that. And then fill out the rental application and you should be good to go. And if you got any value in this or you have any questions with rentals or anything real estate related, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'm going to try to make more videos of these and just put them out there. Probably not even going to edit this, just throw it out there, do a little bit of chopping and see what happens. And yeah, if you got any value, let me know. If not, all good as well. Take care. Shit. That was the first video.